Oh no no, oh no no, it's another episode of the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. You've entered the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
You've just entered the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. If you've come for actual legal advice, you need to turn right around, honey. You need to get out of here, 'cause you ain't gonna get none of that. They quibble, and they squabble, and they bicker. But if you want to hear meaningless opinions, this is the right place. They got plenty of that. Stuff that makes no sense at all. They go off on tangents. It's crazy talk. If that's your thing, keep listening. They'll keep talking.
Yay!
Welcome back to the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker on December 9th, 2020. Donald Trump still has not conceded to be president, and we move on. So we have a brand new client. Brand new, but everybody knows this client. The client is Killing Me Softly with Han Solo. And that brings us into the whole world of Star Wars. And I just have to say, Luke is a little bitch. And that's pretty much my point of view about Star Wars. That Luke Skywalker deserved no credit for pretty much anything. He whined his way through 9 movies, if he was even in 3 of them. Yeah, he deserves nothing, no credit. And I was never a big fan of Mark Hamill as an actor. So
Wow.
anyway, overall, relatively entertaining movies. The first 3 I enjoyed. Except for when the Ewoks came in, and then it was like, okay, we've really gone downhill now. So there you go. You guys feel free to take this any other direction you want, but Han
I would
Solo,
like to.
I was always
Oh,
okay with.
I would like to defend Mark Hamill.
Yeah.
As a voiceover actor, he's one of the finest voiceover animation actors. He's
What
a
did he
terrible actor
What did he
in
do
person.
voiceovers in Star Wars other than the cartoons?
Nothing in there. He's the Joker in the Batman series, and he's done tons of animated stuff. He's a
So it would have been
big
better
nerd.
if he had played the Joker in the Star Wars movies.
No, he does play the Joker in the Batman
No, I said in
show.
the Star Wars movies, he should have just played that part instead.
Well, if you couldn't see him, if like he could just be an animated character, he could do the voiceover for the Joker.
So if Darth Vader had to go up
Darth
against
Joker.
if Darth Vader had to go up against the Joker, who would win, Greg?
Well, it would be Darth Joker because
No,
in
it'd
that
be
universe,
2
everyone
different
evil is named
characters.
Darth. Darth Vader versus Darth Joker. It would be Darth Vader. He has the
Everyone
Force.
wasn't a Darth. I mean, Jabba the Hutt wasn't a Darth.
He wasn't evil. He was just misunderstood because he was overweight, and people don't like fat people. People always malign fat people.
It's just, well, either they're jolly or they're evil, is what you're saying.
He wasn't that evil. He was doing a job. He had to do some stuff. He's compromised maybe, but deep down he had a good heart under all
Did
that
he?
fat.
Did he? How would you suggest his good heart showed through in the movies?
There was a lot of things that
Because
were
he didn't
cut from that
actually
movie.
kill Han Solo. He actually just put him in
Yeah.
kryptonite,
Well, I mean,
or whatever
Han
it was called,
Solo-
carbonite.
Han Solo was fucking with him. He did what he had to do. I mean, there's some cut scenes from
He
that
did what
movie.
he had to do. He from Jersey.
Hey, yeah. But there's some cut scenes from that movie where Jabba does a lot of nice things for the people of Tatooine, like feeds the poor and stuff, and is nice.
Did you call it tattooing?
Tatooine.
The planet is tattooing. This is where everyone goes to get their tattoo training.
Well, is the pronunciation Tatooine or Tatooine?
I think it's Tatooine.
It's Tatooine, and
there's cut parts of the movie where Jabba the Hutt was Bernie Sanders.
Yes, he wants to bring socialized medicine to Tatooine.
Okay.
Yeah. You
Okay.
guys just don't know. You guys aren't as big a Star Wars geek as I am. I read all this stuff.
There was no cutscenes that I recall of Jabba the Hutt handing out candies to young Tatooine children, or the Sandrone people, or whatever they were called.
But you liked the Ewoks, actually? Me and my friends hated the Ewoks when we were
No,
kids.
I didn't say I liked the Ewoks. I said that's where everything went to hell when they brought the Ewoks in.
Oh, yeah, that was ridiculous.
It's like, why not just bring in the Muppets and just like make it fully downgraded to,
They did. Yoda was a Muppet.
That's true. He's Frank Oz.
He was Frank Oz, and he was a Muppet. So, that was, I mean, the Ewok thing was obviously, a cash grab. I mean, one of the problems with Star Wars after the first movie is they realized how much money could be made on toys and gadgets and shit. And so the Ewoks were just a natural progression of that. But I want to say, if you think about it, the Ewoks were some evil little fuckers. They were going to eat those people.
Yeah.
They were going to eat Luke and Han Solo.
Well, that doesn't
all
make
it-
them evil. That's kind of like if we eat cows, we're evil. You know, it's just
Yeah.
a different species. They didn't know what this species was that came in amongst them. You know, they're just little carnivores.
No, because they were sentient. It was obvious they were walking upright and they had technology and they tried to talk to them. Nah, the Ewoks knew what they were up to. The Ewoks are evil bastards. I hated them.
Well, you know, I think we just we should put them in a boxing ring with like the Jawas, like the.
Oh, Jawas would kick their ass. Jawas are badass.
You think
Yeah,
so?
they're like
Oh, yeah.
ninjas. Sand ninjas.
They're like ninjas.
They're little pawn shop motherfuckers. They're little Guidos.
Hey.
Hey!
I got
I'm
some
right
droid
here.
parts here for you. You want a droid part? I got another one. I got lots of them. They're all just roaming the desert for droid parts because that's where the droid's going to die.
I'll get it for you wholesale. No
For some
cost to
reason,
you.
there's tons of droid parts throughout the desert of Tatooine, which for some reason the Jawas are roaming around looking for.
You guys probably know this.
Damn, it sense.
You guys probably know this, but George Lucas wanted the Ewoks to be like kind of metaphor for Vietnam, Endor, because they were like this very like low technology people, and yet they fought off this hugely technological empire successfully.
That sounds
And
racist, Greg. You're a racist.
No, I said low technology. Vietnamese didn't have the money to have helicopters and.
You're equating the Vietnamese as Ewoks, that they're little furry people. That's just very racist, Greg.
Okay, yeah, Ewoks are cute, and so are Vietnamese people.
If George Lucas wanted to make some homage to Vietnam, why did he use little teddy bears? Come on.
You know the story behind that. They were supposed to be Wookiees, but they didn't have the money to have, hundreds of 6-foot-tall guys with giant uniforms. So they figured we could have all these little furry costumes. This is true. I'm not making this up. They were supposed to, in the original script, it was a Wookiee thing.
So George Lucas didn't have enough money by Return of the Jedi to hire like a
Apparently
basketball team. I can't believe that's true.
Yeah, I think
This is what I've heard.
I'm calling bullshit on that too. Who'd you
I'm
hear
gonna call
from?
bullshit on
Some
that.
guy who's homeless down the street from you? Is that the one who told you this story?
Yeah, he's my source. He works at Lucasfilm, though.
He used to work there, and then he was fired, kicked out on the streets, living, drinking 40s on the corner of Cesar Chavez Boulevard and Powell, right near.
Because he was
right near
making
you.
stories up about
That's
George
right.
Lucas.
So I'm going to tell you what happened. So you see the Ewoks, they're supposed to be like little Chewbacca's. They're supposed to be Wookiees, but it's better if we just halved them up and have like 100 more of them as opposed to like maybe 10 of the actual. Yeah, that's a lot less money. Yeah, and plus we can exploit those little people because they don't charge as much as normal size actors.
Well, he's the one who told me about the Jabba the Hutt scenes, so I don't know.
Right.
Maybe
yeah,
you
this-
led me astray. I don't know.
I think this guy is
Yeah.
off his rocker.
He told you the plan was about tattooing people, and
And
Like,
Jabba
there's
the
a
Hutt was
planet-
a socialist.
people traveled from across the galaxy to get the awesome tattoos at tattooing.
It was the best, apparently, in the galaxy.
That makes me think, though, if you are somebody from another planet, what tattoos would you be getting that, obviously would be different from the ones that we have here on our planet? Like here, it's like sailors have anchors. So would they have like little pictures of space shuttles or something on their arms?
Sure. Lightsabers.
Okay, yeah, you'd think like some of those Jedis would think that they're, too cool for school or something, and they'd have to get like specialized tattoos of their
Yeah.
best lightsabers.
There'd probably be some mystic rune, though, or some weird symbol that's from their mystic rites. Because
Yeah,
they're like a.
and why aren't more of those lightsabers all tricked out? Like lowriders. No, you'd have like
Yeah.
a lowrider lightsaber in some way. Not in the same way because obviously they're not vehicles. But I mean, you have various
What would
different.
a lowrider lightsaber look like?
Oh, I would think you'd have to have some kind of bling at the end of it. Maybe it'd have a little transistor radio or something that would be in the
So
end
you
of it.
push a button and it goes.
Yes, that would be awesome.
You know
While they're
that
fighting,
Then I might be
they
more
don't
interested
sound
in the movies.
that Samuel L. Jackson demanded two things.
A purple
One,
lightsaber, I think I heard.
purple lightsaber, and that on his lightsaber was BMF was inscribed on it.
Big badass motherfucker or something?
Bad motherfucker, which was kind of his thing. So, and George Lucas was like, no purple lightsaber. And he was like, no, there's going to be a purple fucking lightsaber. And he's like, okay. And he goes, and it should say bad motherfucker on it. So they compromised on BMF.
All right, so there you go. The first actual tricking out of part of a lightsaber, but it should be more than just initials being engraved on it. I mean, they're a lot more creative than that in these futuristic
a
societies.
keychain from it with like a little rabbit feet.
It's like a whole big ring of it, like they're all janitors, like the janitor Jedi. He would
Yeah.
have like all of his rings, all of his keys connected to the end of his lightsaber. Just goes jangling around.
It'd be efficient. I mean,
It would. I wonder if you could just like toss the keys at the locks to be able to open up the doors too.
One of those zipper keychains, that you can pull out of your pocket, still holds onto it. That would
A
be handy.
zipper or a chain, like a chain wallet?
Yeah, that's what I meant. It's not a zipper, but it kind of extends. It comes out of your pocket and it holds onto the key. Like people in the South seem to have them a lot.
That's the thing that I never understood with the lightsabers is why didn't any of them have tethers? For crying out loud, surfboards have tethers for people. Why don't lightsabers have tethers? You think those things would be easily dropped,
Yeah.
Unless, well, I guess you could look at it as because they have like the telekinetic ability, they could like will it back to their hands.
right.
But I would think that you could drain some of your energy doing that. It'd be easier to just have a little loop, like racquetball rackets, keep it from dropping out of your hand, especially.
Brilliant.
Yeah, if somebody tries to knock it out, it's too
Yeah.
hard to do it. And and why end at lightsabers? Other people have phasers. Why couldn't they be like light phasers, which I would think would be better at close distance anyway than a light.
So you're getting into Star Trek here. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Phasers?
they had phasers in Star Wars.
Like laser guns, like
Yeah, that's what
Bananas?
the stormtroopers had, right?
yeah.
So
I'm not following.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out why they held on to these sword relics.
Because it's an elegant instrument of destruction, and the other ones were crude. And I think Obi-Wan said something to that effect. Something
I guess it's kind of like, looking at constables in Great Britain, since they don't carry weapons, but they would necessarily have to go against people who do have weapons. So they have billy clubs. Maybe if they're supposed to be like the police officers of the universe, they might have something a little more powerful than.
Well, they're like samurai swords, and George Lucas was very influenced by Kurosawa and the samurai culture. So
I understand the
they were
influence. I'm just talking about from a practical level. They just don't seem very practical.
Yeah, you can't shoot someone from 100 yards with that thing. You have to throw it at them.
Right. And if you have like this telekinetic ability anyway, you could just crush their heads. You wouldn't need to like come after them with a lightsaber, especially if you're planning on stabbing them or something.
Like the guy in Kids in the Hall who used to crush people's heads.
Right.
He had the force. Pretty
Imagine
strong.
if he had a lightsaber. Imagine like there's lots of people out there that you probably wouldn't want to see a lightsaber in their hands.
Like drunk people.
Like Britney Spears, for example.
She could be great at it.
I don't think it would be a good idea for her to have one though. I think it would be dangerous.
Oh, because she's such a screw up.
She would use it irresponsibly. I don't think she would be a responsible Jedi Master if she actually went that far.
She's not even a responsible human being, so I don't think she'd be a responsible Jedi Master.
I wouldn't trust Britney Spears with a can opener. So
yeah.
I believe she was like attacking people that live near her with a can opener. She
certainly went after him with a broom.
Was it a broom?
Was a broom, and like at a gas station or something right after she shaved her head. Yeah.
Although this was like 10, 15 years ago now. I think she's probably cleaned up her act a little bit since then.
Not really.
He's trying, Lithium.
You gotta follow her on Twitter. I follow all the basket cases on Twitter.
Do you? Who do you follow on Twitter, Brendan, of the basket cases besides Brittany?
Brittany, Lindsay Lohan. She's always fun. There was one girl who was like
Tara Reid or something, or
no, she was a child actress, and she had this huge meltdown, and then she went offline. It was unfortunate. That was probably 6, maybe 7, 8 years ago.
Was that the one from Different Strokes?
No,
That's old.
she croaked pre-Twitter.
Oh, okay.
Wait, the girl from Blossom?
Might have been.
Blossom.
No, Punky Brewster.
No, it wasn't Punky Brewster.
Did
No.
she go kind of?
No.
Margot Kidder?
I don't remember. But anyway.
Because Margot Kidder, she was like homeless for a while.
Well, I mean, Carrie Fisher was strung out on drugs for years.
Yeah. I don't think she was ever homeless, though.
No, I don't think so.
She had those Star Wars residuals.
Exactly.
Well, her mom was a famous actress as well.
Yeah. Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Fisher.
Deborah Reynolds.
Oh, Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Fisher.
Debbie Fisher.
Her married name.
Yeah.
And whatever her dad's name was that began
Eddie Fisher.
something else besides what?
It was Eddie Fisher.
Okay. I got him confused with Eddie Cantor for some reason. Because their first names are Eddie.
Eddie
Vedder.
Vedder.
Eddie Vedder.
Yes,
Carrie
Eddie
Fisher's father was Eddie Vedder. He like went back in time to raise her.
It's like Back to the Future.
He's like, I'm going to teach you how to spread pearls on toast.
But, who's to say if she didn't have some kind of family support system and kind of a well-off mom, she could have ended up in a trailer and...
Yeah, it's true. It's like Natalie Cole was in like a similar strait, right? I think she prostituted herself for a while because of drugs, and
I didn't know that.
Eventually cleaned herself up. To where she was able to bring her career back. But and I don't think she was involved in Star Wars at all.
No.
There's a cut scene from Empire Strikes Back she was in.
Really?
Yeah.
She was in the Cloud City.
Was she the Banta?
She was under that costume. Yeah. The Wampa,
whatever the thing was called.
She was giving a massage to Jabba the Hutt.
That's right. Was he in the second? Yeah, I guess he was in the second one because he came in later after the whole.
Yeah, I mean, it was really the third movie where she was, more featured in the, the yacht, the pleasure boat that floated around in the desert.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there was some movie that reminded me of. It kind of reminds me of, I think Dune took some of its ideas from that part of that movie.
I thought they got it from Dune.
I think they probably got it from Dune.
The book came out in the 60s.
No, I meant the movie Dune.
Oh, visually. They got the idea.
Yeah, that may have been. That may have been.
Yeah.
There was
I heard that Marlon Brando, the guy on the corner told me that Marlon Brando was originally cast as the Rancor.
As the what?
He wouldn't do it. He asked for too much money.
What's a Rancor?
He's that big thing in the pit, the sand pit that's going to eat everyone. He's that giant octopusy looking thing.
No, that's the Sarlacc.
Sorry.
The Rancor was the monster that they dropped the chick with the tubes into, and then the thing ate her, and then Luke got dropped down there.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Rancor.
The chick with the tubes.
Yeah.
What's I'm so
like
lost
blue,
right now.
Okay, do you remember
fat tubes?
I'm just thinking of like the character from Fifth Element now.
Yeah, kind of like that.
The one that was singing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
kind of exactly like that.
They were
dropped down some
sisters,
tubes.
Remember in the third movie when they're on the thing and Leah's all dressed all sexy and holding on to him, and Jabba's having a party, and there's this green dancer who's sort of dancing suggestively in front of him, and then he drops her into
Okay. So, but she had tubes on her.
She had these horn-like things that came out of her head.
Got it.
But they weren't horns. They were like fleshy, phallus-y kind of tubes.
Almost like a ram's horns, but not horn, right? Kind of like a ram.
Yeah, but exactly like the chick from Fifth Element, the singer.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I was thinking that was more like tentacles on that person.
Now I just want to talk about Fifth Element for the rest of the show.
She had tentacles out the side of her head.
Fifth Element, I really love that movie. It's got some silliness to it too, but I do like some interesting artistic designs that were done in that particular movie. Kind of like out of the Heavy Metal magazine, if I remember correctly.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
I think one of the main set designers was one of the artists for that magazine way back when.
Yeah, Mobius. His name
was it him?
Yeah, I think he did, or they stole his ideas because a lot of directors do. I did see recently. It's been years since I've seen the original trilogy. I did watch Return of the Jedi about 10 years ago, And it was strange. As an adult, I didn't mind the Ewoks that much. It's just a shitty movie all around. Like Han is acting totally out of character. He's being a total wuss to Leia. He's not the cocky guy that you grew to love in the first two. There's all these things that are just like badly written. The characters are a little off. So like the Ewoks was the least of my problems. When I saw it again, I was like, this just really sucks, this movie. Like it's just really shit the bed. I mean, There's definitely some great action. There's some great action in it. Definitely. But as a whole, it doesn't hold up. And it's not the Ewoks' fault. I mean, they made it worse.
Out of 9 movies, 6 of which are arguably some real shit movies, you're picking Return of the Jedi to shit on?
No, I'm saying
He's saying of the first 3.
First revered trilogy that's all considered, canon. But the next 3 obviously sucked with Jar Jar Binks. Nobody likes them. Well, a lot of people do, but they're wrong. But then the last 3 aren't that bad. I saw one or 2 of them. They were good movies.
No.
They were decent. They didn't have the magic that Star Wars and Empire had. But they were well done, well cast, great acting. I thought they were fine movies. They weren't embarrassing like Jar Jar Binks ones were. Episodes 1 through 3.
Jar Jar Binks aside, at least the prequels told a story that made some sort of sense and kind of brought the whole arc together. The last 3 were hot garbage, especially the last 2. The last 2 were just total shit. Rey coming out of nowhere.
I didn't see them. I only saw the first one. I saw the first one and maybe part of the second. But I thought it was good, the first one.
Well, you're just like lauding these last 3, and you haven't even seen all 3 of them. What are you, crazy person?
I didn't say lauding them. I said at the very saw the 1 or 2. I guess I only saw 1, maybe. But I thought it was well done. It was a well done action film. It wasn't great. It's not like I'd run out and say, you got to see this movie. But it wasn't like, oh, God, this is one of the shittiest movies I've seen in a while. I thought it was okay.
No.
I thought that in terms of all of these Star Wars movies, they're just as crappy as any of the other ones.
What? Heresy.
And what did you say? Namaste?
Heresy.
It sounded like you said something else.
In
the final 3 movies, there's actually some really decent action sequences in there that I liked. There's some special effects I thought it was an interesting concept that the main character winds up being like the granddaughter of the emperor, But the fact is that here's the ongoing theme between each trilogy. There's always some whiny bitch who's like the main character. So we have, like, in the first 3 movies, we got the whiny bitch that is Luke Skywalker, and then the prequels with the whiny bitch that is Anakin Skywalker, and then in the final 3 movies, it's actually Luke being a whiny bitch again for 3 movies. So it's like that's like
because he wasn't in the first one at all,
wasn't he?
No.
Oh, that's right. He comes back as a surprise in the second one because it's Han who gets killed in the first one, and then Leia's like on her way out by the second movie or something like that.
Did you guys cry when Chewbacca cried when Han got killed? When Chewbacca went, "Arr!"
I was surprised more than anything that they would kill off Han Solo, But I figured that was probably Harrison Ford's doing. He's like, "All right, you get me for one more, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Get me the fuck out of here."
I wasn't sad at his death. I was sad at Chewbacca's reaction because I love Chewbacca and that he was so. That was good acting.
And speaking of whiny bitches, Chewbacca was a whiny bitch too. Let's just toss that into the mix as well.
Yeah, but he's so lovable.
He whined a lot. Yeah, it's because he's furry.
Yeah, I'm a furry.
And you can never understand what who knows what he was saying,
No, it did sound like he was whining. He was going, "Arr!" Like anytime something bothered him. "Arr!"
Well, he's going to threaten to pull off the droid's arms if he loses
sometimes they
the
do that.
cartoon chess match,
Yeah, it sounded more angry, but sometimes Han would do something he didn't like, and he's just going to go, "Arr!" Almost like some sad sack going, "Arr! Meh."
So there's your ongoing theme regarding Star Wars movies, is that there's just a lot of whiny people in them. Like
But
Kylo,
it's just the Skywalker.
like Kylo, Kylo Ren, I guess is a Skywalker because he's the grandson of Anakin, right?
Mm.
So he's totally whiny through his whole arc throughout those movies.
Is that the guy with the big nose?
Adam Driver's the actor.
Yeah,
does he have a big nose? He's a tall guy.
Oh, it's huge. It's a great nose. He's got one of the best noses ever. I'd kill for his nose.
Who
He's got-
amongst all the noses, like where would he fit? Like what nose would you say is a better nose than Adam Driver's nose?
Well, before that, I thought that the guy I can't remember his name right now. The guy from The Pianist, and he was in Summer of Sam.
Adrian Brody.
Thank you.
Brody.
I thought, wow, nobody will ever top that spectacular, regal, beautiful nose of his. And then Adam Driver, he's got a schnoz that could rival.
I don't think it's as noticeable as Adrian Brody's though.
It doesn't have as much character,
No.
but it's big. But I would like to see a nose off between those two, like a lightsaber duel, but with their noses.
I think probably the
would be
biggest
good.
nose that would have been out there is probably Andre the Giant's nose.
Yeah, but that had no character. It's a big flat, like a gin blossom. Just like.
Yeah, but if you
gross-
would remove that nose and put it on anybody else, it would be gigantic because it came off
Yeah.
that gigantic head of his.
It'd be like an orange.
Because Andre the
Right.
Giant's head is probably the size of my stomach.
Yeah, well, it has to be nose to face size ratio. You can't be throwing Andre the Giant's nose in there. That's like,
I think that just makes it more fun. If you could actually grab Andre the Giant's nose and start tossing around like a baseball or something, it could be very, very interesting, actually. But then if you put it, like, say, in the middle of Greg's forehead, and then it would be just a whole new ballgame. But
You
anyway,
are one sick fuck, Matt.
what are you talking about?
I just can't understand the way your brain works sometimes.
So, Matt, are you more of a Star Trek guy than a Star Wars guy?
I have my own issues with Star Trek too. I mean, I'll just say this straight out. I've enjoyed the Star Wars movies. I've
Sure.
enjoyed the Star Trek movies.
Uh-huh.
I'm not really obsessed with either, but I watch them all. I think for the sake of, I'm more of a completist. Like I like to finish things. So if I get involved in a storyline, I like to get it done. Like if I start a book,
Uh-huh.
I gotta finish the book at some point. I might not
Makes-
finish it right away, but I gotta always have it in mind. Like that's a thing that I gotta complete, and then I'll be okay with it. That's
So
how I
when you
gain.
were a little kid,
That's how I gain closure from things.
so when you were a little kid, you saw Star Wars, and in
Yeah.
your brain you said, "I have to watch every fucking Star Wars movie made to the day I die."
Well, no, because when I first saw Star Wars, I didn't know there was going to be a ton of Star Wars movies after that.
But now you're committed, though. Are you going to keep watching every Star Wars movie that comes out for the next 30 years?
It's movies, yeah, not the cartoons though.
Yeah.
Because I know the cartoons are something that gives a lot of information in between. But from what I understand about these last three movies, they completely took the mythology of Star Wars and erased everything that had pretty much come before within all of the books and the cartoons and things. In other
Yeah,
words, they created like a different mythology or
they
something.
rebooted.
Yeah.
So
Kind
I
of
work
like
with
the
a
same
kid.
guy who did this, didn't he the one who rebooted Star Trek too?
Yeah,
It was Abrams, I think. Wasn't he involved?
J.J. Abrams?
Yeah.
Well, the thing was, J.J. Abrams did an okay job with the first one. And then they gave the second one, for reasons I don't understand, to Ryan Johnson, who's a piece of shit
Okay.
director.
Yeah.
And he ruined it. And then they had to literally bring J.J. Abrams back in to try to fix what Ryan Johnson did, in my opinion.
I tell you, the thing I enjoyed most about the most recent Star Wars movie was some of the special effects in there were just freaking awesome. I love the entire fight sequence between Kylo Ren and the girl whose name Rey, whose I think her name is, on the water planet that they were on, where these giant waves are crashing everywhere. I just thought that was just a really fun sequence. And
Yeah.
then whenever they go to the shadow planet where all of the Emperor's boats are, boats, they're the big star destroyers. Same thing, boat, Star
Boats.
Destroyer. It's all the same size. They're
They're
all
all
the
in
size of an
rowboats.
Adam Driver's nose. But anyway, actually, if that's what all of the Star Destroyers were based on, was that they took the shape of Driver's nose and they made all of the Star Destroyers on that shape, Greg. So that should make you happy, I think, right, Greg?
It does.
Yeah, I thought
I
so.
like boats in space. Boats in space is a great idea.
I think it's a great name for a movie. It was like straight out of the Muppet Show, which is pigs in space. It'll be boats in space. Now, if you can
I
combine
thought
the two,
same
you could have
exact thing.
you could have pig boats in space.
I work with this kid. He's wasn't even born when even the Jar Jar Binks, who's just being born, came out. And he's such a Star Wars fanatic. He's read every book, all the comics, so
Now,
he knows.
you're
Like,
gonna
he
have
just,
to repeat what you said, Greg. You totally lost your signal. It looks like Greg is gone.
I'm not muted. Hello?
No, there you are. You're back. All right, so no,
Okay.
I think your signal went out.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I was saying I work with this kid. He's like 25, and he's like a Star Wars encyclopedia. He's read all the books. He can tell you where all he knows the whole canon. And he was so sad when Disney bought Lucasfilms. They said, that's not canon anymore. We're making our new reboot.
yeah,
And so
everybody
all
in my
the-
household who are Star Wars nerds are all upset about that as well.
Yeah, so
I'm
all
like,
the
who
books
cares?
he
If
read,
they're entertaining movies, I don't give a crap. So
yeah,
what?
me, same way.
Yeah, who gives a shit about stories or history or whatever?
Yeah,
Just throw
beloved
some.
childhood memories.
Yeah, forget the mythology or how the story was supposed to go or what we grew up listening to. Just give me some fucking CGI and maybe a little cute monster that we can all buy for our kids at Christmas. Yeah, fuck Disney.
Wait, could you do that noise again, Brendan? See, that's all I really needed from this episode.
Yeah. You can use it, just
We
drop
can
it
get
in.
rid of everything. We can get rid of everything else we talked about. If I could just have that as a soundbite.
Matt, how would you
Mhm.
like it if Jethro Tull reformed with none of the original members and they played all this kind of techno new wave music, but they were Jethro Tull?
That's kind of like the story of the album Under Wraps by Jethro Tull.
Oh, okay. That's what happened? It really
Yes.
happened. I'm sorry.
Um,
And you didn't like it, did you?
and actually, they couldn't really reform because they've always had like kind of floating members to a large degree. And as a matter of fact, one of the members is now is trans. So it was one of the keyboard players became a female somewhere down the
So
line. So they
she
couldn't actually
can't
be
play
the same person.
keyboards anymore?
No, they can still be keyboards, but it just wouldn't be the same
Oh.
person.
But
you
as
know?
long as the flute guy's in it, that's all anyone cares about. But
Right,
even if
and-
he wasn't in it.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the thing is he's basically carried the label for
Yeah.
ever. It's basically him and like the guitarist stuck around the longest, I think.
Yeah.
And then the guitarist finally retired. But Ian Anderson, he's been floating around. He even did some concert that was about the name of the band. In other words, because the band name was named after some 18th century agriculturalist or something. That's who Jethro Tull actually was some gardener from the 1800s. And so he did like a tour about that guy, which
Wow.
I've always wanted to know more about him. Believe
yeah,
me.
That's-
right,
That's fascinating.
isn't it?
I can't understand people who get into Star Wars when you have this level of arcane knowledge about a band that had, I don't know. I mean,
That
I don't
never
know
had a hit.
yeah, never had a hit. Yeah, I get it. The Star Wars people are fucking crazy.
Okay. Guys,
I'm not
guys.
saying that at all. I'm just talking in terms of how much does it affect me personally? Not much. Like if Jethro Tull were to just fall off the face of the planet or do everything different,
Right.
It really
That-
doesn't affect me that much. So
Right, I think we covered this a little bit in our last episode that
yeah.
pretty much nothing phases you. Everything could fall off the face of the earth because none of it really matters anyway because you have no passion in your life for anything.
Matt's
Except
like
maybe-
Nietzsche.
Yeah, except maybe doing karaoke.
Okay, guys, let's I want to defend the client here. Of the new movies though, what'd you think of Rogue One? I thought that was a great
Well, the
movie.
client isn't for defense, or we're just representing.
Oh,
the
I'm
client.
defending Rogue One. Rogue One I thought kicked ass. I thought
Uh,
Rogue One
Of all
is
of the
the-
movies, that's the one that I slept in twice.
Really?
I can never seem to make it all the way through that movie.
That Blind Samurai.
I
dude?
get through. I think that what happens is I fall asleep before the Blind Samurai comes in because I've never seen
Okay.
the Blind Samurai come.
You know what the biggest
I
flaw of
think.
that movie is? The biggest flaw of that movie is that Blind Samurai, you see him in the first 20 minutes doing this kick-ass scene, and you never really get to see him do much again. And it's like, I want to see 4 more scenes at least in the next hour with this guy.
I mean, I like the
who's-
concept of that movie. I like the idea of you're telling the story of the guys who got the plans for the Death Star.
And it was well done. It was really good. Great
Yeah.
action, good acting for an action movie,
Yeah, I just can't remember hardly anything of it though.
It was easily the best of any of the Star Wars except the original trilogy, and it was probably better than Return of the Jedi.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the best Star
Totally.
Wars movie since Empire.
They didn't-
That wasn't Jet Li in that movie. Was Jet Li in that movie? Or am I
No.
thinking of somebody else?
I don't think so.
Thinking of somebody else, I guess. Yeah.
There
There's
was
also
some.
one thing where a lot of Star Wars people were like, after the Jar Jar Binks movies, I'll just call them, episode 1 through 3, I believe. People were like, maybe we can't trust George Lucas with his own creations anymore. Like maybe the Russians got to him or something. I don't know. But
Yeah,
They
but then-
influenced him.
so
that's
when
totally what it
Disney
was.
got the rights, people were just like, oh, these are not as embarrassing. There's no Jar Jar. But I do gotta say, now, no matter George Lucas, any faults he has, he still created this wonderful mythos and this great world building, great sci-fi, it's just still like resonant. That's why kids still love it. I think our grandchildren are gonna love it. And there's something really great that he created, even though he didn't know what to do with it after a while.
Well, they're
he lost
basically
his job.
the westerns of our era. Basically, it's just set in
It's
space.
a lot of things,
Yeah.
though. It mixes, the hero of 1,000 faces, Joseph Campbell, the classic archetypes, but it does it in such a. And I just love his like names for things. I think he's a great guy at naming. Like if I ever have a kid, I'm gonna call up George Lucas and say, make up a name for my kid, and I'll come with some great thing like Jalabin or I don't know. He's good at naming
Well,
things.
what are you waiting for? Just call him now.
I don't have a kid.
Then we even just pretend that you do.
Okay.
I mean,
I'll
if you're going to
call
call
him. I'm sure it's
him,
easy.
yeah, give him a call. Give him a ring. Hey, George
Do you have
Lucas.
a copy of the Los
I'm having
Angeles
a
phone
kid.
book?
I'm having a kid. Maybe from 1953, I might have a copy lying around somewhere.
Yeah,
The Los
'cause you're a hoarder.
Angeles phone book. Because I like to hold on to those things. That's the only thing I have a passion about, Brendan, is old phone books from Los Angeles.
Hey,
I'm gonna reboot them.
It's what
Whatever
stirs my
floats your-
soul.
whatever floats your boat, dude. If you're totally into phone books, fucking directory it up, bitch. Go for it.
It's
I'm all-
Emperor phone books.
Or gag balls in your mouth, whatever.
What?
Whatever you want to do.
Like
It's
a
fine with
collection
me.
of those of balls in the
Yeah.
mouth.
Yeah.
From famous celebrities, this gag ball was once in oh my god, I almost said cotton head. I meant to say carrot head.
Carrot head?
Carrot Top, sorry. Carrot Top once had this gag ball in his mouth.
The carrot
Very
head is like
rare.
his cousin.
Yeah. Copper Top.
It's a whole family of carrot people. Carrot top, carrot head, carrot elbow.
Carrot baby.
Right.
Baby carrot.
Okay. I gotta say-
do. Baby carrot. Do.
Greg doesn't know about those things.
I do. The kids at work let me know about Baby Shark.
Oh, okay.
I gotta
That's
hear
right.
that a
I
lot.
forgot you were around those people.
Yeah, I'm in touch with the youth. The Ute.
The Utes of America.
I gotta say though, the major thing George Lucas fucked up, and this is why I was like, he shouldn't even be allowed to touch his own creations, is saying that the Force was like this chemical thing or scientific biological process.
Is that the midichlorian thing?
Yeah.
Midichlorians. Yeah.
Because the Force was this kind of groovy 70s concept. The 70s was all about Zen and people getting into all, and I wasn't that into it, but I just liked it. It was kind of cool. Like, oh yeah, it's this thing that, what is it, Brendan? The Force connects us.
It binds us.
Yeah.
It's sort
It
of
was
the
kind of-
energy of the universe. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool and groovy. And then the saying that it's just like, oh, you're good at the Force because you have more midichlorians in your bloodstream. It's like, fuck that. That's stupid. That just
Yep.
ruined.
The
lot.
worst thing that he did. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt, I would take a whole movie of Jar Jar Binks
Me too.
over that.
That could be coming.
Did
That'd be
Disney
great.
reboot that?
What?
In the new Disney, since Disney bought Lucasfilm, they rebooted. Have they kept with that midichlorians idea?
Yes, like in the Mandalorian and it's less, but they're definitely like, not to spoil anything for anybody, but they're definitely after force sensitive people to get their blood to get their midichlorians.
So that's the one good thing about the reboot that could have happened. That's the one thing I would have said. Yeah, reboot it just to get rid of that.
I'm trying to understand what's the big deal about the whole midichlorian thing. Why is this a problem?
Because it was this groovy spiritual thing, the Force, and then it's just like, oh, it's just a condition. It's a medical condition, like having leukemia.
It would be like saying that there's this thing, this Jedis that make Jedis because they have some sort of, they're tapped into some sort of spiritual higher power that binds the universe together, and then it's like, oh no, they just have more of these types of blood cells.
Well, but maybe those blood cells are what's more tied into the things in the universe. Maybe that's what gives them more adaptability. I mean, because you'd have to have some reason why some are more powerful than others, other than training. It's like they have a better inclination for something. Yeah, it's inherent, but why is it more inherent than others? There's
you
genetic...
don't need to explain that. Is my point. It doesn't matter.
It ruins it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's something to be said for not knowing and mystery and what does it all mean, rather than explaining it mechanically. I mean, that's to my
like clinically
part of the art of the storytelling. That's like sitting and watching a superhero movie and going, well, that couldn't happen because of this, and that doesn't make any sense because of that. It's a fucking superhero movie. Just let it go.
He's talking to you, Matt.
Well, they had to explain why Superman could fly, which is the whole, yellow sun thing. So you get some idea of what causes that to happen.
That doesn't explain shit.
But that's the reason that's given. So in this case, they're using the midichlorian thing as a reason. Yeah. I don't know. I think it just added a different level to the whole story. That's all. I don't think it was like that. I don't think it ruined the freaking movie. It's like it's such a minimal aspect of it.
But here's the thing, Matt. The thing is, you don't give a shit about it, so you don't get to have an opinion about it.
I can have an opinion about anything, Brendan.
Matt has an opinion.
If you can have an opinion about me having an opinion about something, then I can have an opinion about anything you think I should have an opinion about.
But he gives a shit about your opinion.
Brendan doesn't give a shit about my opinion. He stated as such.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, because you don't have give a shit about your opinion, so he doesn't give a shit.
I'm just saying.
Confused now.
I'm just saying, if there are two people that care about something and it means something to them, the guy that comes in and goes, I think that's bullshit, but blah blah blah.
Hey, well, I mean, I watched the movies too. So it's like it didn't ruin the entertainment of the movies for me, is what I'm saying.
Okay, well let's okay. So what do you mean by ruin?
Well, you guys said that was like the worst thing possible in the movies, is that they discussed the midichlorians.
Or the mythos.
It didn't ruin the movies for me. Ruin is a pretty strong word. That ruin would mean like, I don't know, I went, fuck this, I'm never watching another Star Wars movies ever because they did this thing.
You said you would watch an entire movie of Jar Jar Binks over because of the midichlorian thing. I just don't know why you feel that strongly about it. It seems like a throwaway thing in the movie.
It didn't
really seem that important to me.
I know, I understand that because you don't understand it, and it's not a throwaway thing.
You don't get it, Matt. Matt, you know what it's like?
All right, so what am I supposed to get that makes this so important?
Can I try to explain when the Force came out, it was the 70s, and we all grew up watching those cool kung fu movies, I assume, and like they were like the Jedi were like those cool Shaolin monks who were like so cool because they were like, oh yeah, we're just peaceful, but we're totally like trained, and our training is part of the spiritual thing we do, which I never even got. Like I don't know what the God is there, if they have a God, but it was kind of cool. It was kind of a neat concept of these like warrior monks who are like spiritual, but then they're also kick ass when they have to be. And it wasn't because they had some chemicals in their blood. They just trained and really like devoted their lives to this study. I don't know. It's just like this cool concept. And I'm a total atheist. I still thought it was cool. And I was just bummed when they clinically explained it and like said, oh, it's just a simple matter. It just seemed to not be as romantic and cool and interesting.
Yeah. I found it added something to them personally.
Why?
I thought it made it more interesting to me. Based on it gave like one little piece of data which helped explain whatever they were trying to get you to believe. That's all. It's not like it had that great meaning for me. All I'm just saying is that I found it kind of interesting, the whole midichlorian thing.
Okay.
Plus it reminded me of something like paramecium by, the way the word was stated. Midichlorian, paramecium, something scientific to go in with the whole ghost order stuff that they have. Anyway.
So okay. I just wanted to say.
You
I
know,
was thinking about
because
the
they all turn into ghosts when they die, and they all have these amazing powers after they're dead.
No, they don't. They don't all turn into ghosts when they die.
They don't.
I didn't know that.
No.
Why don't they? Why don't all of them? Is it because of midichlorians?
No, it's because they were that certain Jedi were trained in that particular skill after death. Qui-Gon Jinn was the first, and he taught Yoda and subsequently Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Wait, so
I did not know this.
this is in the movies?
No,
Okay, so it doesn't count if it's not in the movies.
no, that's not true. Canon
That's
is not
true.
just the movies.
Canon.
There's some great things that
See?
are in like books and comics.
That's why I say you don't get to have an opinion about it because you don't give a shit.
I can have an opinion about the movies. The books are irrelevant. Cartoons are irrelevant.
No, that's not
Because
true at all.
they're movies. They're just movies. They're there to entertain you. That's what movies are for.
The cartoons are just cartoons. Books are just books.
True.
Comic books are just
Correct.
comic books. So are movies a superior, higher power of entertainment value and storytelling than other forms?
They're just their own form. They're not superior or inferior. They're just their own form. They don't
But-
necessarily have to rely on the others. For example, I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings, and there was so many liberties that Peter Jackson took in the Lord of the Rings movies, things that were missing from the books that I would have liked to have seen in them. Now, I could choose to be upset about it or not, but I choose not to be.
I'm not.
And I took them on their own merit. In other words, were the movies
That's-
themselves entertaining on their own, because it's
That's-
like, if you
that's-
try to compare them, it becomes a different story.
That's not exactly the same thing. So let me
It's not
explain
at
it
all.
to you, right? So Star Wars came out, and this is one of the things that I think is great about Star Wars,
Mhm.
and where I think George Lucas really let his fans down, right? Star Wars came out, and after the first movie and second movie for sure, and to George Lucas's credit, he didn't crush these people. People started writing their own books, and they started making comic books. And I don't know what the licensing deals were at the time. Who knows? Or if there was. But the fans themselves took the story and ran with it. And they created a whole universe of Star Wars
Right.
that George Lucas had nothing to do with and had nothing to do with the movies, but were all based on it. So it became a community.
Okay.
And so that is the difference between, I really wish they would have had that scene in Harry Potter book 4 in the movie and they didn't. But that doesn't mean the movie is bad for me. It's not the same argument.
Well,
These
it's not.
books,
It's
Matt.
not the same argument, but it's also, there's still not the movie. In other words, the movie is itself its own medium. It's just something different. That's all.
But I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the story, which is the bigger point.
Yeah.
You're talking about the thing
George
that
Lucas's
ties
greatest
in
creation.
the books with the movies that other people
With the
created.
movies, with the stories that the movies created within the story to the next movie to movie, that story.
I read the first Star Wars book that came out, and I just chose not to ever read another one because I just wasn't that happy with that concept. So for me, I just decided to keep on with just watching the movies as being the thing that I
Matt, do you mean the
rely on.
adaptation of the book,
Good.
the movie? Do you mean the Star Wars book?
No,
The
I'm talking about,
adaptation?
it was a totally different story from. It
Okay.
Was, it was called.
Fleshing out.
What the hell was the name of it? I think it was like a.
Splinter in the
Splinter?
Mind's Eye?
Yeah, that's
Splinter
it.
in the Mind's Eye?
Splinter
Yeah,
Mind's Eye. I was
that was
thinking
the second book.
I was thinking Moat and God's Eye, but that was a different book.
Yeah, Alan Dean Foster,
Right.
famous
right.
science fiction author. wrote
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
Now-
it was an entertaining read, but again, it wasn't the movie, so it was like, okay, fine. It's just like, I never read the Star Trek books either. I just
There's a lot of them.
I know there's tons of them. I saw that too, and I could have gone that route as well, but I decided to kind of take out the realm of the people who didn't create the storylines ideas and just move on with whoever created the storylines ideas to give them a little more credit. To
So
it. I mean,
there's something
people
Wow.
can create, but there's not a real
Wow.
canon there.
That's
It's just when
No.
other people. You're elitist.
No,
You're
I
telling
want
me
to
I can't have
explain
an
something.
You're telling me I can't have an opinion about something. Suck your own elitism, Brendan.
No,
No,
you
wait,
just said that I prefer to go with the person who originally created it as the true source of the material, and everybody else who created based on that can go suck dick. That's kind of what you said.
It's similar to if you believe in the Bible, right? So it's lots of people have their interpretations of what they think it means. I prefer to just read the book and have my own interpretation. There's nothing really wrong with that perspective.
So you don't like Apocrypha, you're saying?
Your analogies are
they
fascinating.
They can be entertaining, but that doesn't mean I have to believe them.
So we've jumped from Star Wars canon to the Bible.
Well, it sounds like that's what you're talking about. Where's the
You
word
don't believe
canon?
in anything.
Where does the word canon come from?
Oh, let's not get into word games. I know where canon comes from.
Okay,
but,
it comes
but,
from religious roots, correct?
But Star
Yes.
Wars.
Well, there you go.
It
There's
does.
the tie-in from religion to the books. Now you understand.
Hey, guys,
how it
let me
works.
try to explain.
No, that's not how logic works, Matt. That's not how it works.
Well,
Let me
Brendan, since you
explain
like to
something.
tell me what I don't know how to think, why don't you go ahead and explain everything for me? Like I'm the child that you keep pretending that I am. So go for it.
Well, I don't know, Matt. You do the same thing to Greg and I every episode.
No,
so
come
why
on.
don't
You've got something going on here. Get it off your chest. Let's get it out in the open. Come on.
Children, stop fighting.
Okay, so let's dial this back to the last.
I mean, I'm sorry that you're unhappy with my point of view regarding Star Wars. Really, there's no reason to be offended by this.
I'm not offended.
You're acting like you are.
I don't give a shit what you think, Matt. We're having
But you're
a
acting.
conversation.
But you're acting like
I
this
think
is some huge issue, and it shouldn't be an issue at all.
I think you're being sensitive right now.
Ditto.
So, what do you want to talk about, Matt? Go ahead,
Guys.
I just don't know why we have to be upset about any of this.
I'm not.
That's all.
Can I
I'm
jump
not.
in here?
I think, Matt, that anytime I've expressed emotions beyond, well, anything could be possible, if anything, and I look at every side of the argument. Anytime I'm not that way, like I have an emotion, I find you react to it like, oh, calm down, Brendan. Oh, wow, that's really strong. I'm passionate about stuff. You're not. I think that really kind of comes down to it. And
I think that's true. I think that's a very fair assessment.
So when I get passionate about something, you get upset with me because I'm passionate about it, and I get upset with you because you're not passionate about anything. I would love to do a whole show, Matt, about something that Matt is passionate about, and not have it be a show where Greg and I kind of share something and then you kind of pick it apart. That would be fantastic. If it's phone books, karaoke, fuck Jethro Tull and prog rock.
Yes.
Let's do it. If you're passionate about it, I would give us $5, $10, $15 on whatever the platform is right now to hear a show where Matt be passionate about anything.
I hate to disappoint you, Brendan, but
Okay.
I don't think there exists a subject that we can say that I am passionate about. So I'm very sorry. I'm very sorry to disappoint you. But
I thought I had a tiny heart.
I take things pretty matter of factly, and But yeah, I guess I was equating you raising your voice with raising it at me as opposed to just raising your voice.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So I apologize. I apologize if for taking it wrong.
Matt, can I clear
and I
the
can
air
only
here?
blame Greg for everything.
Yes, I mean, you should. I can barely talk right now, but I just want to say it's not like fan fiction Brandon's talking about. George Lucas is one of the rare creators of a universe or a property, if you will, who actually licensed all these books and comics and checked on them, basically, and made sure they were in canon. So he realized that he created this great universe and he wanted others to expand upon it and flesh it out. He created all these planets. Hey, what are Tarkin Raiders? What do they do on their day off? What do they like? So it is all in canon, or it was before Disney got Lucasfilm.
Hold on a second. I do want to know, what do they do on their days off?
I never read that book, but I think they like to play bocce.
They play golf.
They're
They
Italian.
play bocce.
It's a different form. It's a Tatooine version of bocce.
When in the first of the prequels, it seems like they like to attend pod races and shoot at the people racing. So
that's actually a good target practice.
Oh, yeah. That's fun.
Yeah.
That sounds fun as hell.
I think they were just Tatooine rednecks.
No, you know what? This is another thing. Getting back to the
make Tatooine great again. They
go out mudding in their trucks.
Oh yeah, except there were those big banthas
with bumper stickers on them with that lady, the trucker thing.
It's to make Tatooine great again. It was Mata or Mata hats, like Brenda was saying.
Oh my Lord! So it's that's another thing. Getting back to the Vietnam analogy of Return of the Jedi. So the guy in the corner didn't tell me this, but I was watching Star Wars again, and I was thinking like the Tusken Raiders seem like fucking evil fuckers, right? You wouldn't want to meet one. But they're like the Native Americans of Tatooine. Like these moisture farmers came in and started taking over their land, and they were just like fighting back. In the movie, you just think, oh, they're evil. They suck. And when you look at it again, it's like they're the Native Americans of Tatooine. They lived there, and these like humanoid people like us came and started all these farms and start kicking them off their land. Did you ever get that sense of the Tusken Raiders? Like,
oh yeah, the Jawas and the Tusken Raiders were the original inhabitants of Tatooine.
Yeah,
and,
they were the Aboriginals.
The whatever the Empire or the Republic at that point came, and that's why the Jawas. If you ever wonder, like, how did the Jawas build that giant thing that they roll around in? They didn't. They stole that because there was a bunch of mining companies that came and did all this mining, and then left those machines, and the Jawas just figured out how to drive them.
Or they just bartered for them.
Yeah, I think not. I think mostly they all just left, and so they were just there. And the Tusken Raiders were more, organic, and the Jawas were like, hey, let's check out this technology thing.
Yeah, and not to be the dead horse, but I wanted to continue just to say that when Lucas licensed all these things, they did become canon, and they were all part of this wonderful universe he created. So the books are important if you're really into Star Wars. I know you're not passionate about Star Wars, Matt, but if you're a Star Wars fan who is, they are important. I mean, the movies are probably the best thing to do, but all those books give you little background to the worlds you love from the movies. And George Lucas accepted them. He actually said, yes, this is true. In my universe, that book is real. That happens. Because he would have these guys who read everything and said, no, you got to cut that. That's not what we want in our universe. So, I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, those books and comics are pretty important to the mythos of it. It doesn't mean you can't enjoy the movies any more or less.
No, right.
But it's not like fan fiction. It's not like some fans are just making up shit and the creators like, I don't know what they're doing. George Lucas approved every one and said, yep, this is part of the Star Wars universe now.
Right, and that's why probably your Star Wars fans in your house, Matt, were upset about Disney taking over. I can only guess. There's multiple reasons you could be. But Disney then came in and then just decided on their own to decide what was actually part of the story and what was not. For instance, Ben Solo and Rey were originally twins. They were brother and sister in the stories we all read and the comic books and all that. They were brother and sister, and Ben did go dark and she went white, but they were brother and sister. So if you're watching the movies and you see it, especially the first one, you immediately, as a fan, you went, oh God, they brought this back. But then you were reminded, oh no, Disney said that's not true. But they still brought these two characters back to tease us? What? I mean, just make up a new story then. So that's a little bit of the to give your Bible example, it's like, somebody comes along and rewrites Revelations, and you're like, oh, this is where the serpent comes out of the sea. And they're like, nah, that didn't happen. It's actually a camel, and it comes out of a cave. And you're like, what?
It's a kraken.
It's a kraken, right?
That would piss me off as a Bible reader.
I would think.
Yeah.
Matt's gone very silent.
Well, I'm not allowed to have an opinion, so I'm like,
oh my
come
God!
I can't. I'm trying to figure out how I can speak without having one. It's challenging. It's tricky. No, I have no right to one. So I'm trying to figure out at what point I'm allowed to say something.
How heavy is that chip on your shoulder at this point, Matt?
I have more than one. I have more than one.
Yeah. Okay.
So many chips.
I thought we had kind of buried that.
Well, we did. I'm not actually holding a grudge. I'm just saying I'm trying to take what you said to heart, which is figure out you said I went silent. Well, the reason I went silent was I'm going, well, when can I say something without being attacked or having an opinion about what I'm having an opinion about?
We are the law offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
You can have an opinion, Matt. Just don't be a pussy if somebody pushes back on you and get your feelings hurt.
My feelings aren't hurt, as I stated.
They seemed pretty hurt. Right, they seemed pretty hurt.
I will say it again.
They seemed pretty hurt.
I was trying to take your point of view to heart because you said it approximately 2 to 4 times that I had no right to an opinion, and you were very forceful about that because I have no passion about this. So I don't have a right to opinion. So okay, so I'm going to listen to what Brendan said because that's why I apologized to you. It was because I had raised my voice to you. And so I was just trying to take this information and go, okay, so when do I speak up? I don't know when to speak up in this case because I don't want to offend Brendan again. So that's why.
But that's the whole point, dipshit. You never offended me. That's what I told you. You're not listening.
If I didn't offend you, why would you say that I don't have a right to an opinion?
Because I'm trying to express something to you and you're taking it personally. I'm saying let's give an example.
Telling me I have no right to an opinion is a personal comment,
Hold on. Let me go back to your religious example so we can just bury this, hopefully once and for all.
I'm actually good. I'm just saying, I'm just trying to figure out when I can talk again, that's all.
Oh, we're talking again.
No, it's great, Brendan, you're taking it so wrong. You're taking it completely incorrectly.
I read people for a living. I've been in sales my whole life.
You're reading me incorrectly.
Okay,
in this case. And you're allowed to be wrong every once in a while, Brendan. You know, it happens. It can happen.
I got it. So let me explain it to you. Going back to your example, let's say that we were having a discussion about Islam. Okay.
Okay.
And let's say that Greg and I were varying degrees of Muslim. Maybe I was a stronger Muslim, and he was more of a reform Muslim, and you were a Jew. And I say to you, if you go, I have an opinion about Muslim, and you blah, 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 blah. And I go, but wait, that's fine, but you're not entitled to having the same level of opinion as somebody who is actually a practicing Muslim, somebody who's actually kind of invested time and effort and whatever into this. That's all. It's just different levels of opinion. Yes, you can say suicide bombers are horrible, and we can all agree on that. Jar Jar Binks was a piece of shit. Great, got it. Ewoks were stupid. Fine. Mark Hamill is a bad actor, and Luke Skywalker was a whiny bitch. Fine. Those are all fine opinions to have. But so that's all I was trying to say is there's levels of opinion. And when I said, I was simply saying that there are levels of opinion that perhaps Greg and I might have that are different than yours because you're not as immersed in it as we are. Then just let us talk and not try to negate what we're saying. That's all I was trying to say.
Guys, I have a very important question here. In Brenda's analogy, can Reformed Muslims still drink bourbon? Are they that Reformed?
Probably not.
I think it would just depend upon, how they choose to be reformed.
Oh, this analogy totally breaks up then, sorry.
Yeah. But, I have to kind of disagree with that analogy to a certain extent because let's say you're a Jew and you read the Quran and you can have opinion about the Quran if you read it. You may not be a follower of that particular religion, but you can still have an opinion about it and it could potentially still be valid because of what you read. Right. So that's why when I felt that you were negating my opinions based upon your holiness in the Star Wars canon, I felt you were incorrect in forwarding that religious belief upon me, and that I could still have an opinion about it. I could still have a valid opinion about something.
Yeah.
I think I have many valid opinions about religion, which I'm totally not invested in. And I think my opinions are very valid, attacking all of them.
But based on now, I can understand that I can't have an opinion about something that I haven't experienced.
Right.
In other words, I didn't get immersed in all the extra stuff outside of the movies outside of the movies that you guys did, which I get it, and I'm not trying to negate your point of view. I'm just saying from my point of view, from my perspective, those are things that didn't matter to me.
I understand.
Based upon the movies, because those are the movies. The movies are the things that I watched. That's what I was interested in of that. So I guess it's like there's a disconnect whenever it comes to getting those other things, and there's no way for me to really know how important that was to you, really, other than having this conversation, where it all kind of came to a head. So anyway, so that's where that comes from. So did we reach an appropriate stage?
Sure.
Okay.
You were listening to the marriage counseling firm of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker right now. the family counseling firm of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Well, at the very least, I think this was good for at least for this to come to this point. I think it was good because I think there was obviously some stuff sitting here between us that we needed to kind of resolve a little bit, and I think it was just a basic miscommunication issue. You disagree?
No.
I like when you guys argue. It's good for ratings.
Well, no, he's gone quiet. So.
No, I'm just tired. I'm just honest to God tired of talking about this. I was having fun, talking about it, and I think you took me the wrong way, and so there you go. That's
okay.
It.
Well, I mean, do you think I took you the wrong way in terms of the part when you said I had no right to an opinion? Because that's where I think I did take you the wrong way.
Okay, so let's time out. Let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
What kind of podcast is this?
Quibbling.
Is this quibbling and squabbling and bickering where we correct each other every time somebody says something funny or make fun of somebody else when they do something weird? Or is this a rational debate show where I should respect your opinions and not say something that might come off in a show like that as brash or unruly or mean?
I think it's an extemporaneous show.
What is that supposed to mean?
Well, that means it just goes wherever it goes. It goes however it goes. So it's basically you start off on the topic and it can go to this stage, it can go to some other stage. It can be whatever it was. But I think it's just us having conversations with each other, and sometimes it can get heated. And sometimes we can disagree with each other. And
So my point is, you were saying that you got upset or you had whatever miscommunication, whatever you want to say, when I said you have no right to an opinion.
Right. I think that's where I misunderstood you then. I didn't get your underlying meaning, which was that you felt I was negating your point of view by stating my opinion.
I thought this was a comedy show. Maybe I'm confused. I thought we were supposed to be funny, and when people do funny shit, they argue with each other and say funny shit, and no one's supposed to get their feelings hurt. If I'm wrong, I need to know.
I don't know what we're talking about now.
I'm still trying to be funny. I keep trying and failing.
I'm just confused now. Is what just happened? I thought we were just resolving something.
I did too. But
I mean, if we're supposed to be a funny show, if we're only supposed to be funny, then we need to be doing more prep work if we're supposed to be funny through this whole thing.
Okay, I thought we resolved it too, and then you were sitting there doing this. And I said, you've gone silent because I can't have an opinion.
Right, but now you're making fun of me for. I'm stating a very real thing, though. I wasn't stating that.
I am making fun of you.
I wasn't stating that in a way that my feelings were hurt. I wasn't at all. I think that's where you're really misunderstanding. Okay, so you refuse to believe me, and that's your right.
Okay.
But you're fucking wrong.
Okay.
You're fucking wrong, Brendan. Get over yourself. You're wrong.
Thanks, man.
It's just not the case.
I
was not speaking because Matt, I really was trying to figure out how can I exert an opinion.
I get it. You're right. You're right. It's your show. You're right. I got it.
It's everybody's show. It's all three of our show.
No, it's not.
Why isn't it, Brendan?
It's not, because it's not. I didn't even start this thing. So let's just move on.
You're just as valid a part of it as any of us.
Well, I don't know. But anyway.
I don't know. Why do you feel that way?
It doesn't matter.
It matters to some extent because you're stating it.
It doesn't matter.
And you said it before. I don't really consider it's my show.
Okay.
I don't. Not really. I mean, if it was, I would just be over control of everything.
Can we all agree, though?
And you must do this.
Can we all agree I am the least valid part of the show?
No.
We can all agree on that.
I won't agree with that either.
No, I think you're the least vocal, maybe.
Yeah, the most drunk and dumb.
No.
I would go with the drunk part, but not the dumb part.
I'm like the Flavor Flav of this show.
You're the hype man?
You need to...
Yeah,
where's your clock?
Yeah, it's you can't see it on Zoom, but it's there. I got a big clock on my chest, but I'm like the guy who's just like I'm along for the ride and like like Public Enemy were so talented before. Why the fuck was Flavor Flav there?
Really, if it's anybody's show, Greg, it's your show.
Wow. Oh yeah, I am getting all the pizza money. I'm getting all the money.
You're the reason why it was created.
Yeah, for my pizza.
No, it's because you say funny things. So you're really the one who's the funniest one, you see.
Wow.
Yeah, this is all designed for posterity's sake, because these conversations happen and funny things would come out. I mean, that's what I prefer, it being extemporaneous, is because we're not like deliberately writing jokes, trying to be funny. At least as far as I know, nobody's like trying to be funny. We're just being our personalities, right? And
I work all week.
They happen to say, I don't think so. I think it just comes natural, Anyway, regardless, I'm very sorry for anybody listening if you felt we got too serious. So, and if Brendan, you think my feelings were hurt, I don't know what to say about that. But anyway, I was just trying not to cause further upset. That's all.
Let's just talk about Star Wars.
That's why I was being quiet. I didn't want to
Wars.
create a bigger problem, but apparently I was wrong. But I did want to say, well, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about we finally got an email from somebody.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Shut up.
You're
a liar.
I have evidence right here on my phone.
Is it your wife sent it?
No, it's your sister, Greg. She emailed us.
Oh, that doesn't count.
Through the website. But, if she's listening to the show, then it counts, right? So
she's our one fan.
This is
one of two.
At first I didn't know it was her, but then I saw the name. It's Maria. It says, "You guys are some ensemble. I am hooked and enjoy your chemistry and wide range of knowledge, humor, and entertaining banter." And there are 5 or 6 exclamation points. 5, it looks like. So, at the very least, somebody engaged. And
wait, all the words were spelled correctly?
I think so.
I don't know if the listeners, the 20 listeners,
yes.
know that he's talking about my sister wrote that. So that's like having your mom say that you're the best at something.
Well, I think it's more like your sister saying it.
Yeah, my sister. So like, it's not like an email from like a listener, like, oh, somebody's listening. It's my sister.
But you said, but your other sister doesn't listen.
No.
Right. So she could have stopped listening after the first or second episode, but we've had like 23 of these now. So if she's still listening, there's something, unless she's just living your life vicariously through this.
No, she has her own life, much more than I do.
That's what I thought. So,
much more of a life.
She finds it entertaining in some way. Anyway, so that being the case, we say thank you, Maria, for listening. We appreciate it. Thanks for engaging. And anybody else who happens to be listening out there,
Maria.
If you send us messages, I'll read them on the air unless we're getting 1,000 messages a day, and I doubt very much that is going to happen.
Oh, God, I wish.
Yeah. Anyway, so is there anything else regarding the client killing me softly with Han Solo that we should address that did not get addressed?
R2-D2 is a liar, you guys said? Or is that true? Was he a liar?
I don't know. Well, didn't he at some point pull the wool over C-3PO's eyes occasionally? Didn't that happen?
You mean his gay lover?
Like he didn't tell C-3PO that something was happening, or if I seem to recall something within the movies where C-3PO would get upset that he didn't get information from R2-D2.
Well, I was going to say that those droids are throughout the entire series, and yet nobody seems to remember them, and they don't sort of let on that they've met these people before.
That hasn't made a lot of sense to me either throughout those movies. The fact that Anakin Skywalker created C-3PO, and that as Darth Vader, he doesn't go, C-3PO, you're here, in the first movie.
Well, I mean, you can kind of write it off because he is a type of droid. So you see other types just like him.
Uh-huh. Do you know what type they are? Because I don't know what type they are. Is it the C3 that's the type, or is it the PO that's the type? That's a protocol thing.
The Y3PO.
I think it's the C3P. And then maybe he's O. I don't know.
Yeah, just because Anakin created him, so I thought this is something he designed or something as a kid.
No, he was building kind of a kit, like he
Okay.
wrote it on the cereal box and they sent him the instructions and he was building his
Like an airplane
You
model.
can get the
Yeah.
cog from the cereal if you reach in the bottom of the bag.
right, one piece at a time, so anyway,
And I gotta say though, Darth Vader wasn't Anakin anymore at that point. So even if like his soul was completely erased at that point, he was so evil that he wouldn't even care. He'd be like, "Oh yeah, my old self that was the decent human created this, but I'm pure evil now. I don't care." Like it's not like you have a nice little moment of like, "Oh, I have a wistful feeling for this old droid I created." You know what I mean?
But you think he just wouldn't have recognized it at all, though?
Well, he didn't
I
comment
guess,
on
but
it.
I guess if there's like lots of others that look like it, I guess it could be easily.
You might have recognized him, but not commented on it because
I
he's
guess-
a soulless
I
husk.
guess the biggest liar then, if we're really going to drill down to this, would be Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, sure. I think so.
Obi-Wan Kenobi fully knew that was R2-D2 and C-3PO. I don't remember having a droid. What? Come on.
Yeah, because didn't R2-D2 like travel with Obi-Wan through the prequels,
Yeah.
like all over the place? And then whenever you come to the first episode, the first movie, I mean, the R2-D2 shows up in his cave, and he's like, "What's this thing?"
Yeah.
You think he would recognize like the battle scars on the droid or something?
Or at least go, I wonder if this is my R2-D2.
How did the movie end where Anakin loses his legs or whatever? Does Obi-Wan fly off with the droids, or does he like give them as a gift to Leia's mother or something? It's like, how does Leia eventually get R2-D2 as a droid anyway?
I think that Obi-Wan kind of gives it to her.
To the mother?
And then to the mother that raised Leia, and then I think he takes Luke to Tatooine, and Luke got the real raw deal on that one. I mean, I get he's a whiny bitch, but he got kind of shafted. His sister was a princess. He was a fucking redneck on a shit planet with crazy people.
Yeah, there were moisture farmers, I think it was.
Yeah.
So they farmed water.
They farmed water out of the air.
Like,
dewdrops.
What kind of job is that?
That's shit
Doesn't
job.
sound fun.
It's out there.
Sound good.
You're basically the kid with the squeegee in the corner.
It makes Burgerville look pretty good, huh?
Well, maybe he had a right to whine through it all then, and maybe that's what. It's like, how did life as a farmer like create this last Jedi person throughout for the final movies? Like, what did that upbringing do for him in the end, other than
he was strong in the Force.
Everything was unfair?
He was strong in the Force. That's all that matters.
He had more midichlorians.
He had more midichlorians.
I'm gonna punch you through the Zoom screen.
Maybe I need to look at the midichlorian thing to get a better understanding of like why this is such a big
that
upset.
It never happened, and it's non-canonical now. I'm gonna pretend Disney got rid of it, even though I know they haven't.
Well, because what I understand is like Disney came along and they got rid of everything that was considered canon, and that's like the biggest issue or something.
It's still pretty close. It's still they're just saying.
Well, if you didn't watch the final
happened.
movies, Greg, you might reconsider that notion.
Okay, I haven't read all the books though. That's the thing. That is part of the canon, and so I wouldn't know unless I read all the books and the comics.
Yeah. I think what's happening is I think they're probably going to slightly course correct on the whole midichlorian Force thing. I think we're going to see that change because there was a lot of stuff in the last 3 movies that was definitely more in the woo-woo, it's a spiritual thing, or it's some kind of something beyond just your blood. So I think they're kind of trying to reverse retcon that whole concept where it's just like, oh, well, you have this many counts of this in your blood, and so there you go.
I would think that you could get some geneticists involved and then create a super Jedi of some kind. You just like recreate the midichlorians or something.
Like Captain America.
Like in a test tube. Yeah, right. You have to do a lot of experiments on little men and then start injecting them with midichlorians to see if their blood can take it or not. And then they can get better tapping into the Force. Kind of like you have regular plus and premium gas in your car.
Right,
exactly.
So wait a minute. Let me time out.
Regular and premium gas.
Matt, you're not watching The Mandalorian, are you?
I saw the first season, and I was
Okay.
gonna get around to watching the second season.
Okay,
It's
so
got better production values than I thought it was gonna have.
Right.
You
I'm
know.
just saying that what you just said,
Uh-huh.
that's exactly where that story is going. That's why I was
Whoa.
saying.
Oh, that might
That's
make
why
it
I
more
was-
interesting then. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So like the two guys that are running the Mandalorian did all the Clone Wars and all the Rebel stuff, and they're Star Wars true believers.
I thought
So they're
Favreau was like behind the Mandalorian or something. John
Yeah.
Favreau. Yeah.
Mhm. And he was very involved in the Clone Wars.
It's so weird seeing how Favreau's career has turned out, considering how it started.
Yeah.
How did he
No.
start?
He started off with this
Swingers.
indie film Swingers, him and Vince Vaughn.
Oh, I didn't know that was him. Huh.
Yeah, well, he was much thinner back then, so he looks like a different
Oh.
man.
We all were. I
Well-
look like a different man.
Well, I'm much
wasn't.
larger than Favreau is currently, but but I think Favreau got a little larger because he did that movie Chef, and he learned how to cook and make really good stuff. But
That's my problem.
he's actually kind of got a cool show on Netflix where I think it's called Chef's Table or something, where he actually goes and visits other chefs because he got training to do that one role, and so he gets like famous people to cook things, and it's kind of interesting. He
It's
makes
on
it-
Netflix?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll have to check
with,
it out.
with
What's it called?
Favreau. I think it's called Chef's Table. I can get the name for you later and text it to you as soon as I know the exact one. But they're relatively short episodes. They're like 20, 30 minutes. So it goes pretty fast, and he learns how to make different things. I can't even remember the stuff he made, like sausage.
Watching like cooking shit, especially if it's a good production value show on YouTube, is like porn for me.
Well, it's like there's one episode where he and Robert Rodriguez were like making chocolate together or something. It was just
He's
kind
a
of
great cook.
surreal in some cases.
That's
Robert
cool.
Rodriguez on all his DVDs has a little extra where he cooks some great meal.
Are
On
you
every
serious?
DVD.
Or are you joking?
Yes. I'm not joking. Robert Rodriguez, I've seen a bunch. I own a
It's
bunch
the
of his
same guy
DVDs.
that told him Jabba the Hutt was Bernie Sanders.
No. I've seen it myself. With my own eyes, I've seen this.
My own
Robert
eyes, I see them.
Rodriguez, he loves to, like an extra on all his DVDs is like Cooking with Robert Rodriguez, where he makes like Texas chili or some awesome Mexican dish. He's a really great cook. He's really fanatical about cooking.
He's
on
like a
top of-
multi-talented guy because he
I
also
know
like
that
did the
guy can-
soundtracks for his movies
Yes.
too, and yeah.
He's a nut. Yeah, I can't believe that guy, how talented he is.
I mean, I think he and Favreau probably hit it off because they both came out of the indie world, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
Rodriguez came out of with what is it, El Mariachi is his first
Yeah,
movie.
they probably knew each other at Sundance, all those festivals, and
right. Well,
all
they,
at
all,
the same time.
they got
Hey
old
guys,
together.
do we have time to talk about the Star Wars versus Star Trek thing? How that's like Beatles versus Elvis.
I mean, I guess some people feel that way. I'm able to be
It's such a
entertained.
dividing thing.
I mean,
for
Star
so many
Trek, I
people.
think, just has more history behind it because it started earlier,
Yeah.
and so they have a lot more of the quote-unquote fan fiction books created, more of a canon to
Yeah.
it, and plus so many different. Although I got to say, one of the new Star Trek shows, Discovery, man, the production values on that are freaking amazing, like film
Yeah.
quality production values. I
Yeah.
was very surprised. I watched a little bit of the Picard one. I wasn't as impressed by that one, but the Discovery one, just some of the effects on that are.
But it seems like Star Trek
surprising.
as a kid, I was starved for anything sci-fi on TV. And even as a kid in that time when we didn't have the MCU and all these great movies, sci-fi movies, I was bored by it. I was like, this is so fucking boring. It's like a diplomatic corps traveling through space. And there's some decent episodes, but compared to Star Wars, like that's why there were lines around the block when we were kids, when Star
Well,
Wars
that was
came
also like 10 years after Star Trek went off the air.
I know, but there wasn't anything else in between then or even after then that was as exciting as the universe you created. Like Star Trek to me is just so much duller than Star Wars. And like there's those Star Trek fans and I'm always like, really? You like that more than Star Wars? I'm always amazed because it's not, I don't know. I was always fascinated by that. It's such a demarcation between.
Well, I think it's
these-
because Star Trek is probably just more science oriented in the science fiction realm, whereas Star Wars is more fantasy.
Space fantasy.
Yeah,
space
it's more
fantasy.
it's space opera, right? It's more
Yeah.
it's got more drama to it
Mhm.
than Star Trek did. Although, it's hard to get a little more dramatic than William Shatner, but still, You know, it
That's
just
yeah.
I think it's just appeals to just different personalities more than anything else.
Matt, could
Yeah.
you do your William Shatner impersonation right now, just for the listeners?
I don't have a William Shatner impersonation. I could
I-
do it.
Everyone
I
does.
could be halting, but I don't think I could do it any justice
Brendan, can
whatsoever.
you do that?
William
No,
Shatner?
I don't really do voices very well.
I don't either.
And if
But
Matt
everyone
is
does
saying
that, like.
he's not even willing to try, I'm certainly not going to do it.
I mean, I'd be willing to try. It's just not going to impress anybody.
Here's the thing: as a Star Wars guy, I love Star Trek. I always did. I loved the original series to death. The first few movies, Wrath of Khan was such a fantastic film. I just rewatched it like
Khan!
God, like
Yeah, but that first one.
Ricardo
You know,
Montalban.
I even like the crappy first movie though.
Really?
Yeah,
was
no,
gonna
I liked
say
them all.
That's the boringest, dullest movie
It was
ever.
pretty slow, but you know, there was also the adventure of it, which made it fun too.
Yeah.
You know,
I just think I got early on. I just got more sucked into the fantasy aspect of Star Wars and kind of went down that path. I know there are definitely people I know that are like Star Trek purists and like Star Wars is bullshit, and there are Star Wars people that the problem with Star Wars for me was I think that it became like watching. Oh God, I'm going to make a sports analogy. Bear with me.
it's okay.
It became like watching baseball. There's so many fucking games you just don't give a shit anymore. Where with Star Wars, there was 3 movies and that's it. And there was a bunch of like, you know, for the time, YouTube speculation and fan stuff and whatever.
What about the Star Wars Christmas special?
I recently rewatched that. It's fantastically horrible.
It's fantastic. B. Arthur as the bartender at the cantina.
B. Arthur as the bartender. Oh my God. It was on YouTube. I watched, they had the whole show because no one gives a shit about licensing.
Yeah, I found it too.
And they have the Mystery Science Theater 3000 guys making comments along the way. It's so
Interesting.
good.
In the special? That's fascinating.
Matt, have you seen this, Matt?
I probably saw it when it came on TV back in the 80s or whenever it
There's
came
a
out.
scene where Chewbacca's father, who lives with them, because it's basically like a Christmas special, but it's like the Wookiee, their version of Christmas, so they're all together for the holidays.
Was his father wearing boxers and scratching himself?
Almost.
No,
Pretty
much
close.
worse, Matt. Matt, so he's watching whatever they call TV on Wookiee Planet. It's like some orb.
TV.
Yeah, and there's it's a variety show from the 70s. It literally is a shitty variety show from the 70s. You know, there's a musical number, there's some bad comedy bits with B. Arthur at the bar, and there's some singer from the 70s, I don't even know who it was. She's a very sexy woman, and she's dancing and being all sexy, and Chewbacca's father seems to be getting very excited, like almost like he's beating off while watching this.
It's
If
like
you watch
Wookiee
it again,
porn.
he seems really like a little too into it. Like,
And he's got like his face is all kind of cragged up, and it's like he's got some kind of like meth teeth. He's a real hot mess.
It got
Yeah.
1 star on IMDb.
that's
It's-
amazing. It should
it's
have no
terrible.
stars on anything. It was such a hot, flaming turd. But there was one 5-minute animated segment of Boba Fett that
The
every
first place.
It says that
Love.
Carrie Fisher is the one who's sang in that.
No, there's this. She's black.
does-
This woman.
No, she
was
does
that
sing.
Diane Carroll?
Yes, Diane Carroll
Yes,
from
okay.
the TV show from the 70s, The Nurse.
Got
What
it.
was that show?
Nurse Jackie.
And Carrie Fisher does
Not
sing a
nurse second.
song, and it's very sad, and you feel like she's high as a kite as she's singing it.
She
Her
probably-
eyes are super watery, and she's just kind of like, oh, it's terrible.
Well, we're at the hour and a half mark, boys. So we can either keep rolling or we can wrap things up. I'm thinking a good way to wrap up the show every week, though, as opposed to me asking you to say something pithy or profound, is we should just say thank you, Maria, at the end, since she's listened to every episode.
Yes.
She sent us a very nice message, and that
Yes.
perhaps this could be like our Carol Burnett thing at the end of the show.
Should I wiggle my ear?
Or your nose, or
And
poke
also,
your-
Maria sent us
yourself in
all
the eye.
presents, which I
I know
got today.
that's so super cool. I love your sister.
Yeah, she actually
I
sent
can't wait
me
till you
a
guys see 'em.
Jethro Tull
They're
face
so
mask.
fucking awesome.
Really? That's
She-
cool.
Yeah, unfortunately it didn't
Got
fit.
especially made.
But but I keep it near me usually.
She had it specially made by an Etsy lady, one of those Etsy ladies.
Oh, an Etsy lady.
You
I
know
should probably
them.
just give it to my wife, and she could probably put bigger straps on it, and then I could actually wear it.
Yeah, she could do it.
More than likely, yeah, because my wife makes masks. But
Yeah.
anyway, all right. So, anything else we want to add to the very special Christmas episode of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker?
Should we give a
So-
plug for your wife's mask business
No,
on
no,
Etsy?
we won't do that.
So,
Why not?
So at the end of not this episode, but the last episode, we had floated the idea of talking about social media. And then if anyone was listening to that episode, they would have thought this episode was going to be about social media because we had this whole discussion about social media and social
That's why I
network.
forgot about Star Wars.
You know what? I
Right.
think that it was fortuitous. I think it's perfect that we should do social media next week because of the huge lawsuit that just came down today in New York against Facebook.
What's the
I
huge
don't
lawsuit?
know.
Oh, you got to look into this. It's like a major
will.
freaking thing.
We'll
So
do some
well,
research.
why don't we table it, get familiar with it? There's like a press conference on YouTube right now from the
Yeah.
New York Attorney General where they're just going after him. One of the aspects of it was that they were deliberately creating a monopoly by overspending to buy Instagram and WhatsApp. Like they gave WhatsApp like $21 billion and Instagram
I
got
heard
like
about that.
$9
Yeah,
billion
yeah.
and they weren't even worth that much money. And apparently people within Facebook said, we're not going to get the money back on these. It's basically a reason to squash competitors so that Facebook
Yeah.
could have the only thing. So that's the nature of that particular lawsuit. So
I thought monopolies were all okay now in America. I thought we forgot about the anti-monopoly thing.
no, you can still move your little piece around the board, Greg. It's okay.
The other thing that came out that I want to throw out there is that YouTube recently, like today or yesterday or whatever, has decided that they're going to deplatform any videos that talk about the election was a fraud, which is fine. But where do you draw the line on that?
Well, in terms of
Like-
censorship?
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
question.
Yeah.
Like you go, okay, well, these guys are obviously full of shit because facts are facts and he lost.
Yeah.
Well, you can find flat Earth videos galore. So do we get rid of those fuckers? 'Cause
Yes.
that's-
I want to see those. I
Well,
Well, you know what? I
see
think
all
these
kinds
I
of
think these are
crazy
good
shit.
topics that we can get into because I have an opinion
Yes.
regarding private organizations that control our content and what rights they have and what rights they don't have. And I think what we're moving into a new arena in terms of law because of how they're becoming news sources themselves, like previously with the news agencies used to basically went through. So anyway, so maybe we can end saying thanks, Maria, and we'll
Thanks,
say
Maria.
thank
Thanks,
you, Maria.
Maria.
This has been the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker Computer Telecast, where any advice has been designed purely for amusement and deep-sea diving. Please take a candy on your way out, pet the lion tamer, and subscribe to this computer telecast if you know it's good for you. The Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker deny all culpability in today's events and are not to be confused with real law offices that have a secretary and books and stuff. Thank you all. Have a good day.